Hello, everybody, and welcome to Hopes and Predictions, a segment of Reaction Time where we go over projects that are about to come out and just talk about kind of what we want the show to do, what we need the show to do, or what we think the show might do. It is just me today because we are talking about The Mandalorian, and most people probably don't know this about me at all, but I'm a huge Star Wars fan. Craig, as far as I know, likes Star Wars, but he has not seen any of The Mandalorian yet, so he doesn't really have much to say about this. So it's just me. Mandalorian Season 3 comes out tomorrow, March 1st, 2023, and the first two seasons of The Mandalorian were like super awesome. It did a lot of unique things in the way of basically feeling like a Star Wars show without having too much of the kind of older stuff that Star Wars did. When I think of Star Wars personally, I think of the Force, I think of Jedi, I think of kind of spaceships, but Star Wars is more about the mysticism than the sci-fi aspect that a lot of people think about it. That's why for me, Andor was an absolutely horrible Star Wars show. I get if people think it was a good show, but as far as a Star Wars show, to me, it was awful because it didn't have any of the mysticism that Star Wars is, right? Contrary to popular belief, Star Wars is actually not a sci-fi, it's a fantasy. Sci-fis are more about like the technology and the futuristic aspect and all that stuff. Star Wars is not about that. Star Wars is about the Force. Star Wars is about the story of the Jedi and of the Sith and of honestly, it's about the politics of the galaxy in a lot of ways. And it doesn't actually focus on cool futuristic things. You'll actually notice in Star Wars, a lot of the technology seems dated. And so it's really not sci-fi. And George Lucas himself has kind of talked about that. But that's why I love The Mandalorian, is because it has the fun aspects of Star Wars with the action and the world building, but it also has the mystical aspects of it with Grogu, with the Force. The Mandalorian kind of doesn't know much about the Jedi at the beginning, and then as we progress, he kind of finds out that Grogu has the Force and that he's able to wield it and all this kind of different stuff about the Jedi. He meets Ahsoka Tano, he meets Luke Skywalker, and so they just like have done a really, really good job of making a show that is not a Jedi-focused show, but still has so much of that aspect that it helps it feel so much like Star Wars. So I honestly have loved the first two seasons of The Mandalorian a ton. Book of Boba Fett was whack, but the two Mandalorian episodes in the Book of Boba Fett were phenomenal. They were honestly probably two of the best episodes of The Mandalorian, which is kind of weird because not a show. But so basically what I would like to see from season 3 is more of the same, but also a lot of growth. I still want to see the Mandalorian, Din Djarin, just still be awesome. I don't want him to like become too soft because ultimately he is somebody who was kind of raised a killer, I guess. He was raised as a Mandalorian, which they are warriors. He says that weapons are their religion, and he's a bounty hunter, which not all Mandalorians are bounty hunters, but he is one. But he's also caring for this child, so there's kind of the balance between somebody who's really kind of just a cold, hard killer and someone who's learning to become a father to something that he doesn't even fully understand. So that's, an aspect that I really love about The Mandalorian. But as we're going into this third season, I would like to see more.
I want more. And I know I shouldn't.
But Din Djarin has now confessed that he has taken off his helmet, and the armorer tells him that he's no longer a Mandalorian. He's going to have to basically go redeem himself in the mines of Mandalore. So what I really want to see is like world building and to go back to Mandalore, which has basically been destroyed by by the Empire. I would love to see either him redeem himself or to realize that he doesn't need to, and kind of have an awakening where he realizes he doesn't need to be part of that cult, but that he should still allow it to be a part of who he is. I want to see a ton more action. I want to see more Jedi, and I'm fine if that's Ahsoka and Luke Skywalker, but I'm also fine if other Jedi show up. At this point, obviously, like Obi-Wan Kenobi's dead, like Anakin and Vader are dead, most of the Yoda's dead, but just even if it's another Jedi, I'd like to see that. This might be kind of controversial, but I actually do think I would like to see some setting up of the sequel trilogy. Now, the sequel trilogy was a hot pile of garbage that was incohesive and was never planned out. at all. It was a cash grab, and it mostly sucked with few redeeming qualities. But I do believe that if The Mandalorian can do some really cool things to set it up, that it will maybe help the sequel trilogy to feel better. I don't think it can do anything to make the sequel trilogy feel like worse of a trilogy. So, for example, if they do a little bit more to set up Snoke, the cloning of Palpatine, the rise of the First Order, that kind of stuff, I would be totally fine seeing, as long as they do it in a way that's respectful to what Star Wars is supposed to be and not what the sequel trilogy was. I want to see Bo-Katan lose her mind and basically try to kill the Mandalorian, because I think that'd be really fun. I want to see a lot more of Grogu's past, which they've shown us in the trailer that they're going to give us more of that Order 66 stuff, so we'll see what happens. I would like to see who rescued or took Grogu from the Jedi Temple during Order 66, but I understand also that it might be too soon for that. It just kind of depends. What's interesting to me is that the only time we've seen those flashbacks to Order 66 in Grogu's mind has been through Luke Skywalker kind of reaching into his mind and helping him see that. So the fact that that's a scene like that's in the trailer makes me think that we're either going to see Luke Skywalker or another Jedi, or possibly that Grogu is now able to show that to Din Djarin. I'm not sure if that's completely possible with the Force, because Din Djarin's not Force sensitive. But honestly, like, what I really want to see, I want to have good music. A lot of Star Wars shows have been really lacking in the music department. Mandalorian has been really good in that aspect, which I appreciate. But it needs to still be good, especially because Ludwig Göransson is not doing the music for this, so I'd like to see some of that good music. So those are all my hopes, what I'm wanting to see. I also I want to see the lightsabers again, dude. But anyways, predictions. I'm predicting that Din Djarin is defeated by Bo-Katan in battle, but that she does not kill him. And she takes the Darksaber to rule Mandalore. And at the end of the season, we actually get either a tease or the beginning of somebody trying to take that throne from her. I'm not sure if that will be somebody from another clan. It could possibly be like a Mandalorian, which were Mandalorians who basically were loyal to Darth Maul when he ruled Mandalore. Or if it would be, I don't know if Sabine Wren would want to take the Darksaber back. I'd love for her to show up and try to battle Bo-Katan. Honestly, what I would love, and this is another hope, it's super far-fetched, but it's possible. It would be maybe one of the coolest things that they could do if they flash back to when Maul is ruling Mandalore, because we've only ever seen that in the Clone Wars animated series. We've never seen it in live action. So to be able to see him ruling it, and I think it'd be really cool to see the armorer maybe be a Mandalorian. I'm not sure if that's accurate, but she does have the horns on her helmet that the Mandalorians ended up putting on their helmets. I think that would be one of the coolest things, even if it's quick, to see Ray Park Darth Maul. I don't know if that's even possible, but have him back on the throne and just show and maybe tell a quick story about like, hey, when Maul was ruling Mandalore, this is what happened to the factions and how they split off from each other. It would be really, really awesome. So what I think they're going to do is they're going to ultimately have the Mandalorian go down. He'll redeem himself. He will probably discover some ancient things about the Mandalorians. Not quite sure what. I know this is kind of vague. And then I think Bo-Katan ultimately is going to end up fighting him for the Darksaber. I think she'll win the throne. And I think Din Djarin will start to worry a lot more about Grogu and wanting to make him a Jedi Mandalorian and have him to kind of take both ways and go down more the path of Tar Vizsla, who was the first Mandalorian Jedi like thousands of years ago. So I think that they could go down that route and ultimately have it be more of Din Djarin helping Grogu get onto the path that he needs to be on. So that's what I think they're going to do. We'll find out over the next 8 weeks, but I think it's going to be a really dope show, and I'm excited for Star Wars to be back in the way it should. The last 3 live action TV shows for Star Wars were bad. Book of Boba Fett was bad. Kenobi was bad, Andor was bad. So here's to hoping The Mandalorian's awesome. So I will review the show when it's done at the end of April, and I hope I got good things to say about it. Peace.